Jinger Duggar is opening up about the response to her first memoir. It turns out that some members of the ever-growing Duggar family and their controversial church weren't exactly doing cartwheels with enthusiasm. Jinger didn't just get backlash from strangers. Some of her own loved ones said cruel things to her in response to her speaking out. In Becoming Free Indeed, My Story of Disentangling Faith from Fear, Jinger Duggar condemned the toxic cult that had, in so many ways, shaped her life. Her family's involvement with IBLP, an ultra-conservative fundamentalist organization, is beyond controversial. Between its notorious founder, Bill Gothard, to its promotion of abysmal educational materials and a litany of scandals, every survivor story is also a horror story. As an adult, Jinger had to unlearn a lot of that. In a new interview, she told people that she tried to focus my thoughts on how can I love and serve the people who've been so hurt by this teaching, instead of caring what all the critics are going to say. I'm going to just put all that aside and say, no, I want to do what I feel called to do, and that's to speak truth, Jinger Duggar affirmed. So let me just put on my blinders and focus on that and share my story, she resolved. And then whatever the outcome is, I know I've done what I'm supposed to do. Jinger spoke of the value of not being consumed by this fear of speaking out. She expressed that it actually was so freeing. Yes, there were critics. Yes, there were people who were saying very harsh things, she admitted. Jinger added, there were loved ones that would say things that were very unkind. It was not easy. We would imagine not. But at the end of the day, I realized it was the best decision, Jinger emphasized. It was the best thing that I could have done, to love these people by sharing truth. That was something that was freeing for me, Jinger Duggar then pointed out. This was because, the more that I'm thinking clearly through the why behind I want to speak truth, I need to stand up for the vulnerable, she reasoned. Jinger then admitted, my people-pleasing before would never have allowed me to do that. I would have been silent. Jinger was, of course, giving the interview about her newest book, which has the displeasingly long title, People Pleaser, Breaking Free from the Burden of Imaginary Expectations. It is extremely common for children who grew up in abusive and otherwise toxic households to be eager to please, even desperate to please. This is because they grew up in an environment where their personal safety was contingent upon the moods and feelings of the adults who were supposed to love and protect them. Obviously, Jinger has her own angle for this book, just as she did with her last one. Not all Duggar critics share her priorities, but her insights into her own trauma may be interesting, even if Jim Bob hates not being in control of the narrative. Jana Duggar recently uploaded videos from her wedding day with Stephen Wisman. The two-part videos featured an inside look at the bride and groom's preparation before they exchanged vows. However, one thing caught many Reddit users off guard, and it has something to do with Jana having a competition with one of her siblings. The first part of Jana's wedding videos featured her preparations before walking down the aisle. Josie Bates-Balka did the counting on alum's makeup. Jim Bob also had a moment with Jana, wishing her the best in her marriage. He also complimented her by saying she looked like her mother when they married. The second part of the video features the nuptials of Jana and Stephen. There are also scenes from the reception in which several family members and guests dance, which is something that they don't usually do due to their conservative beliefs. But a Reddit thread discussed why Jana's wedding vlog may have also shown a shocking detail about Jana and her family. Some Counting on fans on Reddit discussed why Jana Duggar may be competing with her sister, Jessa. According to the poster, they were still puzzled about why Jessa was the maid of honor at her wedding. The OP added that Jessa barely had anything to say for her sister, which may have been more fruitful if Jill had taken the role. However, several commenters pointed out that it was family politics, and that Jana and Jessa have been competing silently for being the best or favorite daughter. They're not. It's family politics. Jana and Jessa in silent competition for favorite/head daughter. Jana and Jessa bend over backwards to please Meech and Boob, and that's what Jessa as Emoe does, and why it makes sense. I think they both do a lot of Jim Bob's bidding, so it looks like he doesn't control things as much as he does. Meech looks completely hands-off and out of it, so I'm guessing the one with the too small face, Jana, and Jessa are his top dogs. I'm just sad that Jill wasn't even a bridesmaid. Even if it was Jill's choice, it still makes me sad. Also found it interesting that Laura wasn't in it as well. Obviously there is still negative vibes with Jill in the family. When Jill was married, we know Jana was the maid of honor and they were close. I agree that it was weird with Jessa. Both those wedding speeches were terrible. Jessa's could have been edited down to the last part of hers, and the guy's speech was so bad they cut it off. Jinger Duggar's previous vlogs before her wedding videos featured her fixer-upper project with Stephen Wisman in Nebraska. The counting on alum got the help of her parents and siblings, making the renovation faster. They did an interior overhaul, especially in the kitchen area. Jana also revealed that she changed door placements and plans to utilize some empty rooms. They were already on the final touches in Jana's previous vlogs, and fans can expect a house tour soon. Jill Duggar Dillard and her husband Derek Dillard are still not on good terms with Jill's father Jim Bob Duggar, despite spending the holidays with her family. After the counting on alum appeared in the background of one of James Duggar's Christmas Day photos, Derek took to Instagram to set the record straight on where he and his wife stand with Jim Bob amid their estrangement. Just so people know, Jim Bob approached me while we were there on Christmas Day for about 5 minutes, and I do not respect him, he wrote in the comments section of an Instagram post on Thursday, January 9. I don't think that is considered mingling. There were over 100 people, the house is 8,000 square feet, and Santa Claus was there, so this isn't your typical intimate family gathering. He continued, I have spoken with him less than 10 minutes since the last time we were at that house, which was over a year ago. We're trying to be civil for the sake of our family, but that doesn't mean everything is all hunky-dory. And it sure doesn't mean that I'm not going to comment when people try to warm reality for their own purposes. Jill and Derek have been estranged from Jim Bob since appearing in the Shiny Happy People Duggar Family Secrets docuseries in June 2023, in which Jill claimed that her father didn't pay his children to appear on the family's TLC reality shows, 19 Kids and Counting On. In a November 2024 Instagram Q&A, Jill called her relationship with her father and mother, Michelle Duggar, complicated. She explained, I feel like we are in a rebuilding phase now, with healthy boundaries still in place. We try to hang out whenever it works well, and we have the mental bandwidth to navigate things. Following the release of Shiny Happy People, Duggar Family Secrets, Jim Bob and Michelle released a statement weighing in on their daughter's allegations. We love all of our children very much. As with any family, few things are more painful than conflicts or problems among those you love, they told Nightline. We've aimed to deal honorably with our children, our finances, and our other endeavors. While imperfect, it is our intent and desire to live a life that honors Christ. We do not believe the best way to resolve conflicts, facilitate forgiveness and reconciliation, or to communicate through difficulties is through the media or in a public forum, so we will not comment further. As the future unfolds, we will continue to love our family, pray for them, and enjoy every moment gifted to us to be parents and grandparents. Jinger Duggar has been one of the most fierce members of the family, and Duggar News followers know it. They have seen her address her family's wrongdoings and also call them out and their IBLP Christian faith in her podcast and books. Despite realizing what's at stake, she has been unafraid to speak her truth. This included her family getting upset at her stunt. Now, congratulations are in order for Jinger yet again. She is expecting her third baby with her husband, Jeremy Voulo. Apart from this, the family is also gearing up for the release of her third book. Even the viewers are curious to know what more Jinger has to say about herself and her family. Well, she opened up about the not-so-good parts in her new book. Jinger Duggar is going to release her third book soon. Earlier, she established herself as an author through her solo books like Becoming Free Indeed and The Hope We Hold. Prior to this, she has also co-written a book, Growing Up Duggar, with her sisters Jessa, Jill, and Jana. In her third book, People Pleaser, Breaking Free from the Burden of Imaginary Expectations, Jinger will talk about how she was caught in the whirlwind of people-pleasing. While talking about the book before its release, Jinger mentioned how her strict upbringing and toxic teachings from IBLP conditioned her wrongly. She always wanted to be in everyone's good books and avoided ruffling anyone's feathers. Everyone growing up made her feel like she needed to be submissive and keep everyone happy. But when she realigned her faith, she broke out of this shell. When she released her book, not all the family members reacted well to it. Jinger has been very excited to release her new book, People Pleaser, Breaking Free from the Burden of Imaginary Expectations. Duggar News followers know that it hasn't been easy for the Duggar sibling to make her space in the world, especially as she ended up exposing a lot of her family's toxic ways of doing so. While talking about the experience of releasing books in the past, Jinger did say some loved ones said some unkind things after they read them. While it wasn't easy for her, she realized it still was the best decision for her. After all, it was her way of showing she loved these people by sharing the truth. Since then, viewers have been curious to figure out who it must be that was mean to Jinger. Many viewers noted that while Jill and Amy were very supportive of Jinger, some of her sisters refused to promote or even comment on her books. This includes Jana and Jessa Duggar, the other elder sisters from the family. Chances are that since they are the eldest ones, they must be too conditioned not to adhere to people speaking against their faith. The Duggar family history is bone-chilling. Duggar News followers know that Josh Duggar's scandals kept him in the limelight for many years. TLC canceled the family shows after finding out how he molested his own sisters, and then had a charge against him for possessing CSAM. Jill Duggar had to face the wrath of her brother, and it strained her bonds with the family. Throughout all of this, Jill's husband, Dillard, has been very supportive of her. He attended every single one of Josh's trials to find out all about the abuse his wife had to deal with while growing up. Since then, he has been upfront about bashing Jill's parents, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, for not protecting their daughters. In a new statement, he bashed Jim Bob again and revealed how much he respected him. Most Duggar News followers know that Jill Duggar, now Dillard, was the one who was most affected by Josh Duggar's wrath. Shockingly, parents Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar decided to protect the family's reputation and their felon son the most instead of ensuring their daughters were okay. All of it has not left a good impact on Jill's husband, Dillard. In one of his statements, Derek has accused his father-in-law of many things. He said Jim Bob is very defensive and verbally abusive when confronted privately. Dillard said how the former politician is the biggest sellout if that's for his own profit. He also accused Jim Bob of lying in front of him and his wife, Jill, many times. He has bashed the family member again after the buzz of their reconciliation took over the internet. Since Jill Dillard released her book, Counting the Cost, she also starred in the Shiny Happy People documentary, meant to expose the Duggar family and their IBLP teachings. Well, all of it led to many strained bonds in the family. She admitted treading carefully, but she was still open to reconciliation and hoped she'd be able to do it with Jim, Bob, and Michelle. Jill wanted to do so, while keeping her boundaries in mind. However, something contrasting happened recently. As per the rumor mills, Dillard and Jim Bob Duggar were mingling at the annual Duggar Christmas party. Everyone began to assume that they had passed the olive branch, but the truth was far from it. Derek finally gave a statement reacting to the news. While Derek admitted that he was at the party with his wife, Jill, Jim Bob did approach him for 5 minutes. However, he does not respect him. As per him, Jim Bob and Michelle's house is 8,000 square feet big, with as many as 1,000 people present at the gathering, so it was far from intimate. He and Jill attended the event to be civil, but that didn't mean things were hinky-dory.